Hello, Grace Covenant. Happy Thursday. I am getting ready to walk up the mountain that we live at the bottom of. And sometimes I do this at night to kind of metabolize the day. Sometimes I do it in the morning just to, make sure I get some exercise. But also there's something about the act of climbing and then coming back down that is really good for my soul. Chief says good morning. But the reason I wanted to bring you along on this climb, I'm not going to take you the whole way, but part of the way up the mountain, is because this is what we're doing together these days. We are seemingly climbing one mountain after another with COVID, with what it means to be church in the midst of COVID, with what it means to be church in a world that is experiencing a reckoning around white supremacy, perhaps in a way that it never has. And so there's an efforting that is a part of just being human right now. I think of all the stuff with climate change and all the different ways that things are changing, whether we want them to or not, but also the ways we're being invited to change. And that in that comes effort. And you're going to start to hear me get a little winded because it's hard to walk up this mountain. It is strenuous. Here's the beginning of it. It kind of winds around, and just when you think you might get a break, it keeps going. It gets steeper. And then even when you're coming down, the steep part is kind of hard. And it makes me think of us, Grace Covenant, and the learning curves and growth curves that we're on together. And I think this latest stuff about the Delta variant is uniquely strenuous because there's just a different order of magnitude in terms of what it means. Whew. And sometimes we just have to take a deep breath. Because what it means is that even with all the vaccinating that our community's done, even with all the safety measures that our community's taken, we're still not in a place where we can safely meet together inside in our crowded sanctuary space. The staff and the session are discerning around these things. Session meets the last Tuesday of every month, fourth Tuesday of every month. And this coming one, not this week, but the next week, we're going to be talking about that we were hoping to have a big day on September 19th, Palooza, that would involve a inside the sanctuary component. It would be our first big attempt at a hybrid worship service that involved a face-to-face component in the sanctuary. With the Delta variant, And with school in session, the kids going back to school, and with the projections around when things are going to peak in Buncombe County, that September 19th date isn't looking too good. So we are in discussions around maybe pushing that to the first Sunday in October to give things more chance, to give more people a chance to get vaccinated, to give the variant a chance to go on its downward spiral, and also to see what happens when kids go back to school. There has been a lot of conflict, especially in the Buncombe County schools, around mask wearing. There are some parents who are saying they're not gonna have their kids wear a mask, and they're not going to vaccinate their kids over 12. Are the schools going to stick to their guns and not let those kids come in? The schools are not currently offering an online option for kids to connect to the classroom. So we don't know what's going to happen. The CDC has said that all kids and teachers and administrators need to be masked in schools. That's the safest thing. That is the way we can keep each other safe. That is the way we can be a healthy human family, is to mask. We don't know what's going to happen, Grace Covenant. So, here we are climbing another mountain together. And sometimes you just have to stop. You have to pause. You have to take some deep breaths. Look around. Look around. Just kind of get oriented. Let your system settle a little bit. Remember all the resources that you have within yourself, within your community. The spiritual resources that we have. And the biggest resource we have, Grace Covenant, is God's love. God's love is leading the way every step that we take. God's love is inviting us to know ourselves, to really rest when we need to pause when we need to nourish ourselves, to support each other, to let God's revolution of love be what carries us in these difficult times. I'm going to go up the rest of this mountain. Around that bend, there are 2 more steep climbs. And even though I won't be talking to you, you're going to be with me. You're in my heart, you're in my thoughts, you're in my prayers. And more, I think, you know what? This challenge isn't about getting through something. It's not. It's about being present right now in it with faith. So how are we going to faithfully climb this next mountain that we have? Turn the next bend. Feel the way it's taxing us. Be honest about where we need support, where we need to pause. How are we going to do that, Grace Covenant? I know that we can. I also know that we're all going to change. We're all going to grow in that. None of us have done this before. None of us have been this way before. And there's great comfort in the fact that this community God has really been preparing us for this moment these last several years. And frankly, for all of us, for all of our lives, God's been preparing us. And that's where the confidence of faith comes in. Faith doesn't ever stop trying. And that's what we're going to do. And I trust God with it all. There's healing around that bin. There's healing, there's community. There's a new heaven and a new earth. And I'll see you. I'll see you on the top. I'll see you on the downside. I'll see you on the upside. We'll be there together. Have a good Thursday, Grace Covenant. Love ya.